Welcome to the Eyes on Ocean podcast. The podcast was created for marine mammals observers to share the incredible experience with whales and dolphins. My name is Claudia Erber, your host, and I invite you to embark and tune in to sea lovers' inspiring stories. Hello, everybody. Today we have a very special episode with my cabin mate, Anne Victoria. And wow, it's special also because we are on board Eros vessel. We are doing a cruise looking for marine mammals. And we have, since almost the first day, talking about this interview. But every day we have something. We are super busy with our project. But finally, today we have a break, and I'm sure you will love this episode. Victoria is how I call her every day. We are sharing this cabin. And we have been in a great time. Yesterday was very special. We will talk about the project later, but I would like to introduce her before she starts to talk. And you will find out she's a very inspiring woman. She's a fisherman. She's a scuba diver instructor. She's expert in minke whales and much more. And I must say, she's the most sweetest and toughest sea woman I ever met. So welcome, Victoria, and thank you so much to be here.
Thank you. That's such a warm welcoming. Thanks. I'm a bit speechless. We'll see how this podcast goes. Wow, no, thank you. I'm really happy for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And as you said, it's been fun. We've been out at sea together now for 3 weeks so far.
Yeah.
So yeah,
3 weeks.
You're an amazing roommate. And
cabin mate.
Cabin mate. Yeah, exactly. So it's been great fun.
Yes. So I would like you start introducing yourself, telling a bit about where are you from and why or how you became a marine biologist.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. So as you said, I call myself Victoria. I do have a ridiculously long name, but I like to keep it simple to make it easier for new people who gets to know me. I'm from Norway, from the East Coast, a bit outside of Oslo, in a place called Lørenskog, and not that much sea or ocean right there. It's more woods in that area. But I've been fortunate to always been growing up with a lot of boating and been a lot at sea from a very young age, really. And I think my fascination with marine mammals started from an age of 3 or 4 years old.
Oh, so early.
Really early. And I just stuck to it. It's actually kind of fun now because still in contact with a few people that I grew up with school and stuff, and even not talking to some of these people for years, they're suddenly saying, "Oh, it's so fun to see you now," when you were always drawing whales and orcas in like second and third grade and stuff. So it's kind of cool. And right now, I mean, Norwegian and everything, but been a bit nomadic, as a lot of people have been asking, like, where do I live and stuff. This last year, I've been kind of saying I'm homeless because I've been living at wherever the work takes me. I've finally now managed to realize a dream of mine that I had quite a while. So I have recently purchased a sailboat.
Wow. We want to know about that also.
So,
what a dream.
So I'm really excited about that. And it just feels so right because I always like to be by the water, and what better way to do it than be living on the water? And with all these different projects and stuff, but it's an excellent way to travel and take the home with you wherever you work, really. So yeah.
Yeah, it will be a great adventure, I'm sure. And I guess also it's not only inspiring people, but it's also become a reference for your generation, because it's still not so many women doing that. Maybe they have the dream to be solo on a sailboat, but are you tough enough? You know what I mean? And I am sure you are. And as we have been talking before, there are so many people come to you and sharing problems that you will face, and but you know that, so it doesn't matter, because this is part of the fun. It's the challenges that you will face. But we'll go to this subject later.
Yeah.
I would like you to talk about a little bit the Vladimir project, which is very unique. And it's kind of famous, but I never know nobody that been in so close contact with a beluga.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit how you became a research assistant in this project?
Yeah.
What is the project? What is the future, potential future? Yes.
Yeah. I guess I didn't quite answer that part earlier too, like how becoming a marine biologist, but I've started the degree and stuff in Bergen, and then went to Tromsø and also had an exchange year in Australia. And then, as I mentioned before, age of 3-4 years old, I've always been aimed, and my goal has always been to be a marine biologist. So I just stuck to it the whole way. And after getting the degree, or even during the degree for that matter, I was really fortunate to be a part of this other project that we might get more into with the minke whales. And with having that bit of a background, and also helping out at the university, working with seals and other types of Arctic mammals, reindeers and stuff.
What experience as well.
Yeah.
To work with Arctic animals is so, wow.
Been
beautiful.
very fortunate. Yeah.
Yes.
Really, really fortunate with these opportunities. But having a bit of that kind of experience, and also some experience, or quite a bit of experience at sea as well as a fisherman, that I think made me look as a valuable asset for this organization that's called One Whale then. So it's I've been very grateful for all the steps making me come to where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So with One Whale, it's a NGO, a non-governmental organization who's been following Valdemir, the beluga whale. His reputation is that he is a spy whale from Russia. And then the origin of the name, it comes from the Norwegian the Norwegian word whale, val. And then because he's
and
Russian,
I call him Vladimir. Oh my gosh.
And I'm sorry. You're everybody does it, so it's you almost got it. No stress. But no, so it's Valdemir. So they played around with the names. So Val being whale, and then Dimir. So instead of Vladimir Putin, because he came from Russia, they played along with the word. So it's Valdemir. It's that.
Okay.
So that's the reason for the name, at least. So he's been around in Norwegian waters now for a good 5 years. And what this organization has been doing is to work really hard to, follow up on his health and make sure that he's okay, but also try to see if we could give him a better life quality, really, because during this whole process of following him and ensuring his health, we have definitely seen unfortunate, or what would you call it, not the best circumstances, and a negative, what would you call it, evolution? Not evolution, but
progress.
Progress, yeah. So a negative progress. And that's it's we'll get more into it a bit later too, but it's been a lot of extrapolated assumptions of the situation and what we're doing, a lot of polarized meaning, what we should do with this animal. But what this organization believes, at least, is that euthanasia is the last thing we wish to do with this animal. And with his circumstances not being sustainable at all. I mean, he's getting injuries from people. People are swinging with him. They're not listening to the authorities, trying to respect wild animals and stuff, because they see a beluga whale in a popular fjord of Norway.
They want to pet.
Yeah, they want to pet.
I
and they
saw
want
a
to swim
video of a boat coming almost on top of him.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
yeah.
so sad to see that. Instead of try just to let him live freely and happily,
Yeah.
people want to take it, touch it. It's kind of strange
It's a-
side of a human being.
It is a shame, and I guess in a way I can understand that people get excited and they want to like get this once in a lifetime experience and stuff, but a lot of the times they kind of forget that that's maybe not the best thing for the animal.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. And as you said too, with this, one of these videos that we have posted, I was actually out in the field that day. There were plenty of kids driving Zodiacs and stuff in the evening, and they were just racing over him and crossing him and chasing him for about 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, it's so sad.
And it's a shame, because you try to talk to them and stuff, but they just get carried away. And it's something that we see, especially now in the summer times and stuff. It's a common thing when it's nice weather. And even earlier that same day, even we actually we were looking for him, because I was trying to gather some snot samples of him, because then we could look after agents, like see if he's carrying any diseases and stuff, and take a good respiration rate measurement, look at his breath and weight and everything, and see if he's doing all right. But then the police came and was wondering if everything was all right, because we were located a bit odd, close to a agriculture farm, because that's usually where he's at. And then we had a nice chat, and then they told me like, oh, the fire department was just contacted like 30 minutes ago, because he was entangled in a fishing net further north. So it's these kinds of scenarios that happens, well, occasionally, at times even quite frequently. And you see him getting small cuts for propellers, and a lot of times he grabs things with his mouth, and he's had some really severe injuries in his mouth before and stuff too, which has been kind of scary, because it's been close to his brain again too, and some large open cuts on him. So it's
poor animal.
He's in a very unsustainable habitat, and it's in a way it's fascinating, because you see him
surviving.
He's surviving, but also trying to entertain himself, putting things in the propellers on the agriculture boats and other boats. Like he's a bit of a rebel in a way. Maybe in his eyes he's working or doing what he's been trained to do. Who knows? But
Can be.
It's quite fascinating seeing him suddenly coming with ropes in his mouth and then trying to entangle it around the propeller of a boat, and
wow.
Then he's looking at you and like, hey, look at me, give me applause for my job, kind of a thing. So it's it's a very unique situation.
Yeah,
for sure.
I imagine.
Yeah.
And about your master thesis, would you like to share this unique experience as well with minke whale? And you just get published on the Aquatic Mammals Journal, so it's something very important for your career.
Yeah, we can go into it. It's a bit like Valdemar as well. It's been a very controversial subject. It's again a lot of polarized meanings about this project that's been going on for 4 years. We just finished it now, right before this trip here, where we've been live capturing minke whales temporarily before releasing them back into the wild, just to make that as a statement, because a lot of people understand what the goal of all of this was. But it was to measure the herring of baleen whales.
Yeah.
And we therefore aimed for the minke whales, since that's the smallest up here in the Atlantic Ocean, and like the second smallest of baleen whales. And the reason for that is that we know, we know more now after this project, but we knew absolutely nothing about their herring. We had different analysis from behavior and hypothesis of what they might hear from anatomical models made from postmortem, and we tried to get that data from non-invasive studies.
And extrapolate for doing mitigations, actions, but not really data from a real alive animal.
Yeah. And also as well too, a lot of people extrapolated that information from pinnipeds and dolphins, thinking they would be the exact same kind of ish. But as you probably also know, that's
totally different.
It's different.
Yeah.
They have a different structure. They're, different ancestors in a way. You have to go quite far back if you're gonna see anything there. So what we've managed to do now, I was quite fortunate with this. My supervisor took me under the wing and included me into this project. So first, in that thesis, I was aiming to see, okay, what kind of data could I collect out of this while the others were doing the auditory evoked potential, measuring the hearing of the animal. I was trying to see, okay, these animals are going to be navigating around nets and a bit of a system, like, okay, can we see anything out of this to prevent them from get any data on that, on behavior, to see if that could be helpful for misty seeds, avoiding getting entangled into fishing lines and nets in the future and things like that. But all in all, that paper ended up with not enough statistical power, so it got to be more of a review of the setup, and also looking into, okay, what's actually been tried before these earlier years of capture of misty seeds and baleen whales, and what kind of studies have they done on them, because we know so little of them compared to like dolphins and stuff. And even though it's kind of unfortunate to say, but I think it's great that we're stepping away from having these cetaceans captive, but a lot of that information probably wouldn't have gotten this far with that information if we wouldn't have had dolphins in captivity back in the 70s, 60s, or even earlier. Like the very first capture was actually in the 18th century by Barnaby. He was collecting belugas, believe it or not, on trains. So it's I think it's definitely something we should be stepping away from over time, but at the same time, we need some of that data as well now to validate the methodologies that are non-invasive, so we then can continue with the non-invasive methodologies. And that's what this project has been doing, which is really important. And I think a lot of people has been, they've had wrong information, thinking we know everything we need to know about these whales, and that we are putting needles in them with electrodes and everything. We use suction cup electrodes to measure hearing, and the hearing, when we weren't exposing them for high sounds or anything, what we were doing was putting electrodes on them, the suction cup electrodes, and then exposing them for low frequencies and low sounds to see if the brain would respond, if we could find a reaction. It's the same as if we were doing like a hearing test. You would be clicking on this little thing, like, can I hear something now? Yes, no, but like we can't talk with whales.
She cannot push the button.
She can't push the button, exactly. So instead, then we can use this methodology, or this method called auditory evoked potential, which is basically these suction cups that are put on the animal, and then we can record the voltage, which is when the animal hears something from the brain, that it's making a reaction when it's actually getting that kind of sound. So it's like we're capturing the response the animal is getting, and then by that information, then we know, okay, so at this certain frequency, they can hear that high up at the frequency band, they can hear it that low at the frequency band, and it's these tones. So we've gotten a lot of information out of it, and we actually now have found results showing that these animals hear a lot more than what we thought before. So this will be a huge asset in mitigating noise pollution, because as you know, the anthropogenic pollution, and especially with noise, it's been more of a invisible pollution for a lot of years, but people are seeing more and more now. Oh, okay, so the noise humans are actually creating now is disturbing animals. It's like from what they can see from behavior, they're suddenly avoiding feeding areas. They seem stressed, they're swimming faster, they're avoiding mating areas. And then you have the whole thing with communication too, like suddenly some of these species have to start screaming louder to be able to communicate with each other because we're creating so much noise. So it's really important information. And again, we've had good sponsorship for this project, but people think it's only for military or oil exploration. I mean, those are some noise polluters, but you forget boat traffic. Boat creates a lot of noise. You have the wind turbines, the green energy,
the tourism.
Like there's so many factors out there in the water, and we need to know more of the hearing of these animals then to actually be able to
create a better
management and conservation actions.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think it's very important. I understand how controversial it is. And what would you say for these two projects that in one way are linked with the anthropogenic impact on these animals? What would you say is more challenging for you as a researcher, that you are developing projects that many people do not understand what you are doing?
I think the strongest or the biggest challenge with all of this is just always having to defend your work in a way that it's a lot of the times there's so strong opinions and it doesn't seem like they're willing to actually necessarily go in depth and listen to what we're actually doing. They sit with false assumptions, and it's tricky. And a lot of the times I've been trying to explain what we're doing, and it's like they're just looking the other way, and it's gone to being like verbal attacks and even personal attacks from people, and it's been challenging. So that's definitely been a steep learning learning curve. I don't know if that's the
Yes, I know what it means. Like the big
you know what I mean.
I hope people understand also, but yes, it's I understand. And also to be a young woman doing this kind of research, do you feel more attacks than maybe your colleagues? They are men, they are older. Do you feel there is a difference on that way?
At times, yeah. I mean, I'm still fresh in the game, so I understand also I don't have 10, 15, 20, 30 years of experience at all, but it's something I've been discussing with other female fellow previous students and stuff too, that we do unfortunately at times have to maybe even work a bit harder, make more noise to be heard and seen. But I've also been, again, really fortunate with my supervisors and stuff who's been good to listen. And there's been like an open platform then to say something if I disagree with something. And so on.
That's very important.
Yeah, but I do notice at times, and like even then, something that I think it's important to state out for all future biologists and stuff like that too, that always make sure that you get a fair pay for the work you do, because a lot of times people are like, oh, you're doing your passion. And
yeah, it's very important to say that, because you are Norwegian, you are in one of the most rich countries in the world with much more equalities, gender equality, and it's still there is a difference.
There's still differences out there, so like a little I've learned from that over these few years I've been out in the field, but I guess that comes with all kinds of workplaces you have, really. But make sure that you are getting the fair pay, because it is hard, the manual labor a lot of the time. You have a long education that you've been or a lot of it
Investing.
struggling through
Yeah.
investing into, and then of course then you shouldn't be doing jobs just because or get this very low pay or anything like that because you're lucky to do so and so. It's yeah. Just because it's a different type of office doesn't mean you're not supposed to be paid the amount of work you do.
Would you say this is the most challenging thing for you in your field work, or would you like to share an experience that have been very challenging?
No, I think the strongest challenges is more this of the tackling the parts of these strong opinions and people being stubborn to it's good to disagree, but it's that a lot of people are sitting on wrong information or not the whole picture, and therefore making false assumptions and just misconceptions. And there's been challenges with harassment and also just strong opinions out there. I'm really fortunate and happy about these projects that I've been a part of, but I've also, I don't think I was quite prepared getting right out of my degree, having my degree being posted on Facebook groups and then having a lot of strong opinions and, oh, she's from Norway, of course she's doing this terrible thing against Wales and blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God.
And then also with Valdemar, like, you're just doing this for fame and you're not working at all, and like, stop, who do you think you are? And even
A lack of respect.
And it's frustrating because you're dedicating so much of your time, and it's not like you're not exactly earning a lot of money on this kind of work. It's long hours, you're out in the cold and terrible weather a lot of the times, and then people are not validating your work and those things. And I mean, even had some icky experiences too with one of the jobs where there was a previous employee that's been, I had to go to the police at the end because I was being harassed on the water and the person was lurking around on the private cabins I was staying at when I was out in the field and stuff. And it's a shame. Like, I don't know if that would be the case if I was a man.
Probably not.
I don't think so, which is a shame. And a lot of times then I had manly friends of mine to come out when I was out in the field and stuff to have that extra security.
Unbelievable. We need men to protect us from men.
Yeah.
It's so unfair.
So that's why I went to the police at the end, because I think that people shouldn't be getting away with this kind of stuff. It's not fair. It's not how it should be. So it's it's been an interesting journey. I mean, I'm not happy about all the unfortunate experiences I had in that way, but again, it's also still an experience that I will take with me and learn from and assess, and it's still something I might, who knows?
Yes, and it's good that you can share in this kind of space, so people also that suffer from the same man attitudes, harassment, they feel like they are not alone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. We all females in the maritime and offshore, even in the academy, we are kind of gaslighted by men.
Yeah.
So it's, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
And we will only change if we talk about that and if we take that serious.
Yeah.
Because your generation is a much stronger and tougher and braver generation than mine. When you talk about your dream, that we will talk later also, I think when I grow up, I didn't even have this space to dream. You know what I mean? So when I listen to you, that you bought your boat with your money from working as a fishing woman in a crab boat, so it's so inspiring. Because yes, because you show like I have a dream, I can work hard, I can get my money, and I will do it alone. Even if people don't believe on me, or even people want to make me afraid of things can happen, but that's life.
Yeah.
So
You have to take chances. You have
exactly.
you have to step out of that comfortable bubble at times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit if you have like um, amazing experience with animal, or one or two, I don't know, that you recall as and you bring in your heart, and when you think about it's like yesterday.
Oh, that's such a tricky question. So I've been
Yes.
really fortunate with these types of field works and stuff because it's just been absolutely amazing. Even through the studies with the University of Tromsø too, we went to the Greenland ice and studied these Arctic seals. It was just, yeah, it's with the Minkuel project, I think it was just spectacular being there, a part of this incredible team, and witness getting the very first hearing measurements on a Misty Sea whale.
Wow.
I think that was it was quite spectacular. We were all kind of holding our breath a bit, like hoping everything would go according to plan, then that everything would go nicely and smoothly, that the animal was doing good, and it was really something. And also, even during those years in the field there during the summers, we had so many other cool encounters with humpback whales, mother and calves passing through, and orcas playing around. Like last summer was it had 4 killer whales spy hopping at the same time. It was just, and then you had like calves following their mom doing like a little splash around. And no, it was just spectacular. And Valdemir as well is.
I can imagine.
He's unique. It's crazy. He's definitely a people seeker. Which I believe is, well, unfortunately, because of human interference with his life. He should be in a pod with other wild belugas, but it's been very interesting. And at times when I've been trying to collect blow samples and stuff of him, where he's suddenly coming with a rope towards my boat, and I am like, oh shit, I need to lift up the engine so he doesn't make me stuck in the water. So it's.
Do you think he recognizes you?
That's actually a question I've gotten quite a few times. I think it's more likely that he might recognize the sound of the boat and things like that. Maybe the sound I produce when I see him. But maybe over time, I mean, I know a lot of these mammals, they do recognize like their trainers and stuff over time.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I was working with seals before at the university, that if I was wearing a different shirt one day and not sticking to the blue suit or anything like that, they would be a lot more skeptic. And so I do believe he probably does recognize at times. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. There in Sado, where I do my PhD research, the fish, the natural reserve workers, they do not want to do any blood samples or anything like that, invasive, because they believe the dolphins will stop to come when they arrive, because they are there every day. So it's unbelievable. When we find the group, they come close to us.
Yeah.
And even if I need 10 minutes for habituation, they still around. And I asked them, do you think the dolphins recognize you? And they say, yes, we think they recognize the sound of the boat.
Okay.
That's why we don't do any invasive kind of research.
Because you don't want that bad relation.
Exactly, because they can start to avoid if they have a bad experience with them.
Yeah. Kind of the same as
us, huh?
Yeah, same as like when you have sheep and stuff along, like electric fence, for example. They stay away from their fence after having like a bad
Exactly.
sound. So I think it would be a lot of that kind of the same thing to it.
And if you think about your work so far, what motivates you most?
What motivates me the most? I think I'm just really happy to be able to participate and take part of something that will maybe or hopefully make the ocean healthier, maybe taking care and looking after animals and the ecosystem, because there's
I like that.
yeah, I'm trying to formulate a good sentence here. Sorry, you might have to cut that part out. No, but I think it's just I want to be part of something that will help the planet, really. I mean, it sounds maybe a little bit cliche in a way, but I think
We are marine biologists,
Yeah.
we are cliche. When I listen myself telling to people why I'm doing a PhD in my age, and people, but for what? Oh, because I want to improve, because I believe that my work can help with the planet. Okay, I may sound naive, but that's the way I am. And I think it's part of our profession.
Yeah,
If
for
we
sure.
don't believe that we can make a better world, so for what?
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily naive either. I think the more motivated and even the curiosity and imagination is what takes us a step further. That's how we learn. We have to think outside of the box a lot of times to figure out new things. And then it's like, oh, wow, we make breakthroughs in that way. And then we can do a better job conserving and manage, the
Agreed.
ocean, really. Yeah.
And if you needed to choose one animal as your favorite marine mammal, I know it's a tricky question also, but okay, you can have like the three best if you need.
It's so hard.
Yeah, they're so lovely, all of them. And you, with your experience, I guess, it's even harder. But anyway, let's try.
I've been spoiled, so it's I guess part that's how I'll pick the orca, the killer whale.
I love them. Why orca?
I guess it's the fascination I've had for that animal since being a child. That was probably one of the main things, like, oh, I really want to work with orcas and stuff. I haven't gotten that far about it yet, but I think it's been that's definitely one of the animals that really, really fascinates me, how complex they are, how you have these different subtypes that are so adapted into their environment and with their hunting techniques, and the grandma being the boss in the pod. I love that. I love that part. Yay, feminism.
Exactly.
But also...
They represent us at sea.
But I think being the apex predator, and they adapt so well in so many of the areas, and also when they're like hunting together as a family in the pod, they make sure they're not like humpback just taking a whole what do you call it, gulp of food. They're actually, a lot of times they're hunting and making sure like everybody gets a bite. They're like looking after the entire pod. They're not being
cooperation.
So they're not, they're not being super selfish.
They are not only feminists, but they know how important it is to cooperate with the surviving of their pod or their group.
Yeah, and just like a lot more on that part too, but just the different cultures and the language, such a complicated communication with each other, and I think there's a lot more to there too that we haven't figured out just yet either.
Yes.
And I just think they're rad, really.
Fair. I think it's a very good choice. And about the music, do you have any music or song when you are at sea you like to listen, or when you are in land you listen to remind you about sea?
Yeah, it's actually I had quite a think of this one before, and it's actually a Norwegian song from somebody I actually even know. So
nice.
It was a friend that, we were flatmates up in Tromsø, so he makes a lot of like good Norwegian pop and like more into the Sami pop as well, which is quite cool. It's called Verdenskart by Resirkulert. It's the world map, and I think the song is just really inspiring because like it's singing about like not pursuing what you wish to do and not being afraid, even though people say like stay away and
Har jeg hørt helt fra barndommen av. Men hva vil skje hvis jeg bare ser på? Hete og glor brer seg flat.
exploring the world and taking chances, and yeah, I just find it really
It's
inspiring.
just like you. I love that. I need to find this music on the YouTube
yeah.
so we share for our audience. And if you think about, I know ocean is your life, but what there is a meaning, what the sea represents for you?
Home. I'd say it feels like home. It's it's just some kind of relaxation you get around being by the water, and it just really it inspires you. You feel like you can relax, and I think I love to dive, so just being able to go underneath the surface and then just observe everything around you, all the different marine life you might see, and also I guess I kind of enjoy the fact of not being able to have a phone and being getting away a bit from the world and everything going on. And yeah, it's so much we still also don't know about the ocean. It has such a vastness to it, and it's just, yeah, it feels like home. And
Nice.
really,
I also share this
Yeah.
feeling. It's, as I told you, when I dive, I almost don't need to breathe. It's like I feel home. I feel it's my environment.
yeah.
And it's also in the same way you are challenged to be there.
Yeah.
So you understand it's not your environment, but in the same time you feel like it is. So it's kind of contradictory, and I think it's it's a deep dive in ourselves in another way, because when we are at sea we feel alone, but you are so much surrounded by sea life.
Yeah.
So it's this the two sides of the sea life.
Definitely. And I think, sorry, also just kind of, I think it's fascinating having to respect the powers of the ocean as well. I mean, it's quite interesting seeing how it could be mirroring waters one day, and then the next day you have some...
Or maybe after a few hours, like here.
Yeah, like here.
It's nothing under control. You have a morning with a mirror sea, and you see a lot of Milky Ways around, and wow, that's why I'm here. And then 2 hours later is view for 5 and white caps and fog, and you almost cannot breathe. And you need to, it's nothing under control. It's so dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. It's no, it's fun. It's unpredictable in a way. It makes things interesting.
Yes, I like that also. So I would like to finish this nice conversation with you sharing a little bit more about your dream, this inspiring dream. Just to think about. I am already on board with you. So I think it will inspire a lot of people to do the same, or even just to follow you.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Well, I guess the dream you're referring to is my new state of living on the sailboat. So I'm really excited, looking forward to, I'm flying over to Canada now after this trip, and we'll start giving some love to my new home, making sure it floats all right, and have to change a few parts on it, like the bilge pump and those kind of things. But my intention is to travel over the Atlantic, then hopefully through the Greenland and Iceland, and back over to Norway in the spring next year. So we'll, the boating life, there is always things that needs to be fixed, and it's always like a continuing project, but that's what I'm looking forward to as well, because the more you do with the boat and like being able to fix things yourself, the more you learn the boat yourself as well. So when you're suddenly out in open waters, you can't suddenly call the engineer or whatever to come and help you. You have to figure it out. So, and I've had a very good friend that I met through one whale actually with the Valdemir situation, who's an extremely good sailor that I know I can call once in a while when I'm stuck with something. So yeah, it's been, I'm very excited about this.
Well, me too. Super excited.
Yeah, wanted to come.
Yeah, no, we agree. When you are in Caribbean, I go to visit you.
Hot waters.
Warm waters.
Bring the scuba gear.
Exactly. So I would like to ask you to leave a message for our audience, something like that. Advice, message.
Yeah. Like a philosophy I usually stick by is never take advice from people who's living a life you don't wish to have. I think that's one I really...
Bravo!
I think that's one I really like, because a lot of, I mean, even just buying the sailboat and stuff too, I've had quite a lot of skeptic eyebrows rising at me. But it's, I don't wish to have the life being at a house, kind of stuck somewhere with a job from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I enjoy this bit more of a nomadic lifestyle, and yeah, for now anyways. We'll see what happens with the years, but
Exactly.
this is what feels right now, at least.
I love that, and I am so glad with our time together. I feel so lucky to be with you in this project, and you accepted the invitation to be part of the podcast. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Thank you for navigating this far with us. Keep your eyes on ocean and ears open. Every 24, there is a new episode online.